Presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy on the Republican side continues to put himself out there. He's not shy. In fact, I appreciate him for that. But it's a little bit cringy at times because this is what he did at the Iowa Fair. And there's more to it. Maybe you guys already saw this, but this was just fun.
Opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's joking how everybody's joking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, plow, snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up that easy. No, he won't have it. He knows his own bad that he's ropes. His own bad that he's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant. He knows when he goes back to this mobile home. That's when it's back to the lab again. Yo, it's so rhapsody. Better go capture this moment and hope it don't get me with it.
In case you couldn't tell, that's Vivek at the Iowa Fair, one of these things. He's doing campaigning in Iowa. They all did this, but he went on stage and he was rapping to Eminem because he's that cool guy rapping that song from 2004. I don't know when that was. But he has been hit though with a cease and desist letter from one Marshall Mathers. I'm not sure if it's Eminem or Marshall that did this. But after he went to that the state fair and rapped to the crowd who wanted nothing to do with it seemed. Eminem also wanted nothing to do with it either. In a letter dated August 23rd, a representative for BMI informed the campaign's lawyer that the label had received communications from Marshall B. Mathers III, professionally known as Eminem, objecting to the Vivek Ramaswamy campaign's use of Eminem's musical compositions and requesting that BMI remove all Eminem works from the agreement. Here's a illustration of that letter that they then sent to him to make it all official, to tell him to please STFU and please stop using our music because it's kind of cringy anyway. But Vivek is okay with it. He's rolling with the punches. We know how Ramaswamy tends to be. He's always able to keep things rolling. And although he still loves Eminem, he is willing to go ahead and chill out on all that. This story from the New York Times, which was fascinating to me, says the Republican candidate loves his rap music, even if critics say his politics are at odds with its spirit. Says there's no such thing as one rap community, is what he said. And he also went on to tell TMZ that, I'm sorry, someone else pointed out that Vivek just got on, his representative said this, Vivek just got on stage and cut loose. To the American people's chagrin, we'll have to leave the rapping to the real Slim Shady. So it seemed like they were, having fun with it. They understood that most Republican candidates, when they use popular music, that the artists are like, please stop using my music because you're actually making me look bad. And actually, I want nothing to do with you. I don't want to assist you. I don't want to have you have any walkout music that I've created. In fact, just rap it to yourself. Maybe he'll start doing that instead. Last thought here, Conscious, because this really stuck out to me. Vivek is a big fan of Eminem. This was from that New York Times article. There's no graphic for it, but this was good stuff. Rap and hip hop are part of the Ramaswamy story. Back to Harvard when his alter ego, which was called this, Davek, D-A space V-E-K. His rap name was Davek. And he rapped libertarian lyrics in all black outfits with a Kangol cap on. As a freshman, he performed at an open mic before a Busta Rhymes concert. A moment that has since been exaggerated to make him out to be Busta Rhymes' opening act at that particular event. So Vivek is a rapper. Vivek has been told to please stop it, and he understands. But the thing is, you can't kill the true heart of hip hop in Vivek's mind. I guess the next question is, does this help his campaign at all? Because we saw earlier that his numbers are dropping a little bit.
Maybe it'll help his campaign with the blacks and the suburban whites that love Eminem and that think that Vivek is a very trendy, smooth, snaggy guy. Mm-hmm. To me, it's very interesting to see how he is using his racial identity to navigate the Republican Party, especially when it comes to trying to appeal and being cross-cultural. Also, when it comes to taking on the chin, I feel like the racial innuendos, the parts of the clips that I did catch from the Republican debate, is that what you want to call it? Was about him. I mean, somebody talking about him being like not having enough experience, like being inexperienced. And for me, that was very like, I feel like very like jarring, because it's like, damn, I thought you liked Trump because he had no experience and because he was able to have opposition to the tradition and not be worried about being like draining the swamp and not being a part of the establishment. But for Vivek, Ramaswamy, you know what I'm saying, bro. And two, I purposely said his name that way because I've been on social media, and it just amazes me at how much he's willing to deal with when talking to specific white conservatives, white supremacists that are purposely being derogatory with his name, derogatory with who he is, and it's like you still trying to appeal to these folks. Man, we put that little flash in front of his face and get him out the sunken place.
This is something else that I also saw, because I did a particular one about certain pastors that have a pretty good following. They get broadcast all over the place, and they talked about Vivek and how we can't let our young folks start to glom on to these types of people. Did you know that Vivek is not a Christian? And they went crazy on it. They even asked me in one of the interviews, so what's this whole thing about you not being a Christian? How does that work? Do you hate Christians? Are you coming for folks? Like, the thought process goes straight to how afraid they should be of Vivek Ramaswamy, who's rapping Eminem lyrics on stage awkwardly, and then goes into this debate, as you pointed out, and just kept talking. But they're worried about him maybe hating Christians because he's not Christian. That's what maybe there's a wake up call sometimes that comes. Just like the black guy who was on the Black Folks for Trump, got caught up and arrested, and everybody posted bail and bond except for his ass. Maybe he had a wake up call right then to understand they will use you like they used Herman Cain, like they used Ben Carson, like they used anybody else, Leo Terrell earlier. They use everybody they can for the support that they need just to get far enough, then kick your ass right back out. And there's nothing else.
You underestimate the psyche of those black Republicans to position themselves in martyrism and be able to almost embellish and eat up the way in which they left out to the wolves, because they crazy anyway.
And you have to buy into the hierarchy process and thought process that many of these Republicans have. You're like, maybe I can be on the lower totem pole, but at least I'm higher than what I think other black folks are because you accepted me. It's craziness. Some of my favorite parts, I want to read one other part about this New York Times article, because again, he says he relates to Eminem. This article points out that some of the lyrics says he knows when he goes back to his mobile home, they don't really match up with Ramaswamy, who was a multi-millionaire entrepreneur with a middle-class upbringing, a $2 million mansion in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio, and a largely self-funded presidential bid. And he said, I did not grow up in the circumstances he did. Who, again, his mother was a physician and his father's an engineer. And he says, but the idea of being an underdog, people having low expectations of you, that part speaks to me. It's fine. Music can speak to people in many different ways.
What in the George Santos is going on here? That's what what in the George Santos, I'm gonna make up a narrative to suit my own feelings. What's going on? You see what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, to the people watching this, I got a video coming up very soon. I'm gonna be doing about the history of brain drain in America. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And how a lot of immigrant populations get sensationalized as being immune to white supremacy, or being able to explain away how there's no white supremacy or no systemic racism. It's gonna be using old Vivek. I'm gonna talk about old Vivek, and it's gonna be a whole little exploration of visa system, H-1B1 visas, skill visas, all that. We're gonna get into that. I feel like it needs to be brought and talked about now.
Well, they'll talk about it if he gets some more popularity, because they'll take his ass out anyway.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.